We are now in the conference final stage of the NBA playoffs. Time for a brand new episode of Gimme the Hot Sauce. In case you're keeping track at home, this is episode 79. And if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're not, why aren't you? You're missing the Clay Aiken lookalike, or
Clay Aiken? Oh, Timmy Whispers.
Timmy Whispers doing some high-level business.
Oh, Rick Ansley?
He's wheeling and dealing. Rick Astley.
I'm never going to give you up. Never going to let you down.
So all of you waiting for him to drop that lewd comment, it's not going to happen today. You know, we got some reaction on YouTube of him when trying to read the
commercial reads.
The Windy City limo. People were lighting him up.
Hey, listen, you know what? We don't ask a lot of Timmy Whispers. He's not here to defend himself right now.
Which is the best time to attack.
Yeah, he's in New Orleans right now, doing business. He's making that money, But when he comes back, he'll probably be as red as a lobster. And, as we know, a.k.a. Larry the Lobster. We can't wait to get him back in here next week.
But we miss Tim.
Yes.
He's
Shout out to Timmy
Whispers. Of a few laughs. And we got a special guest coming up a little bit later in our next segment. Steve Smith. You watch him on TV. He's doing great work as an analyst for NBA TV. But before that, he was a college star at Michigan State, an NBA All-Star with the Atlanta Hawks, and I think he picked up a championship ring with the San Antonio Spurs. So a very well-rounded career. He went up against MJ when he was at his peak talent. So we'll talk to Steve Smith about the NBA playoffs, about the Bulls, and a whole lot more. And it seems like, Stacey, there's always something interesting involving the Bulls, and now the latest is the great LeVar Ball weighs in, talking about his son and his rehab, and he kind of took a shot at the Bulls, saying that he's got to come back to L.A. with the big baller way of treating injuries.
Listen, I mean, he said, I listened to that interview yesterday with Kaplan, and he was talking about, Lonzo is not drinking milk. He needs to stop drinking almond milk and drink some milk. He said because LaMelo and LiAngelo drink milk and they have never been hurt.
Yeah,
and he said he never got hurt when he was drinking milk. So he got back on that almond milk. He needed to change it up. But, no one knows his kids better than he does.
Sure.
A lot of people gave him a bunch of grief when he was coming up with his kids, that he was a loudmouth guy, self-promoting his kids. Listen, he was way ahead of the game. He knew exactly what he was doing. He put all the pressure on himself. And his kids, took the pressure off his kids so they could go play basketball. And I think a lot of people wanted to see those kids fail because of the father, and they proved them wrong. They're very talented. The middle son, LiAngelo, should definitely be in the league. And you heard him. Listen, Bulls Nation.
Yeah, LeVar's trying to bring him
here. AK, Mark, if you hear me, if you're listening to the show, he said, and I've always said this, he said that whoever picks up LiAngelo and has two brothers on the same team, the third one will play. And it won't even be about money. It won't be about money. So he envisions all three Ball kids playing together. And I've been saying this for the longest. I know LiAngelo doesn't get the same kind of, praise that Lonzo and LaMelo get.
Yeah.
But he's a very talented shooter. The guy can flat out shoot the basketball. He's about 6'6", 225, 230. He's got a big body. I'm surprised that he hasn't been on someone's roster with the way the NBA is looking for, premium shooting. And you've seen in the playoffs, you're watching here in the, Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals, how important shooting is. Guys who can get, knocked down, wide open shots. They're very, very hard to find. And I tell you what, I'd get him on my roster. If he got me all three at some point.
Yeah.
Because, Chicago, if you think about it, Chicago, and he even said this in the interview, Chicago has the advantage because it's a big city, and he wants his kids to play in a big city. And, it's close to L.A., even though it's far, but it's closer to L.A. And so, I'm just saying, that he put it out there. He put it out there.
Yeah, if you haven't checked out that interview yet, my buddy David Kaplan did that interview, and Cap has his own YouTube channel, so check that out in its entirety if you want. But one of the things that surprised me was he suggested that the first time Lonzo hurt his knee with the Lakers, he thought the Lakers pushed him to get back too quickly. He said there was too much high-impact rehab. He thinks that he should have been doing a lot of his rehab work in the pool where he could minimize the wear and tear on his joint. And he also said that the Bulls might have pushed him a little bit too quickly to get back because, remember, he was also dealing with a bone bruise that he had hurt previously before the surgery. I don't know if those criticisms are valid, but he seems to think that he's going to get him back to Los Angeles. He's going to get his own training staff to work with him, and LeVar will oversee it. And LeVar said he thinks that Lonzo will be 100% by the start of training camp, and that's all the Bulls want.
Well, listen, America, if you've ever had a bone bruise in your knee, I'm telling you, I've had one, and it's very grueling because it's a constant pain. You always feel like, when you're playing on it, you feel like it's something structural. Because it's a pain that, they can run all the tests and they can do all the diagnostics on the knee, and the ligaments could be fine, the cartilage is fine, but you just feel pain in your knee. And that's how deep a bone bruise is. And you normally get them from banging knees with someone, falling on the floor, banging your knee on the floor, and they're very, very painful, and it takes a while for it to heal. Because if you think about it, look it up. I mean, when you see a bone bruise, it's not like a quad pull or a tear or something like that, where you can actually see the bruise on your leg and you can see with the blood in your leg there. But in a bone bruise, you can't see it. There's no marking on your leg or anything because it's down into the bone. So it goes past all the ligaments, all the tendons, and it goes straight to the bone. And in the knee, it's very delicate depending on where you get it. If you get it into the point where it's in the part of where the joint is, where the femur connects to the lower leg bone, and it's grinding, and it causes a lot of pain, a lot of problems. So I can understand what he's going through because I've had that same injury, and it takes time to heal. And I think that's what his dad means is like, hey, why he's, not ramping up his rehab in Los Angeles, putting him in more of a pool situation and letting that bone properly heal. He has confidence that he'll go back. But listen, you can't blame training staffs. They do what they think is best for the player. They're not going to listen. No one's going to put a kid out there if he can't go. If Lonzo says he feels like, hey, I need to go ramp it up a little bit, that's what the Bulls training staff does. That's what any NBA team training staff does. Do they want you back out there? Yeah, they do. But they're not going to put you out there if you're not ready, especially an investment like that.
So hopefully he goes back to Los Angeles, drinks a lot of that whole vitamin D milk.
Vitamin D milk.
Get that to strengthen the bones, and he's ready to go in September when the Bulls open training camp. But one thing I'm pretty sure about, I don't think he's going to go back to wearing the Big Baller brand shoes. The late great Big Baller brand shoes.
Listen, I ain't mad at them. They came up with a philosophy. They had their own signature shoe, and they made pretty good money off that shoe in the beginning.
Yeah.
But then found out that it wasn't as comfortable as that he would like, and then he switched shoes. And listen, his dad didn't trip about it. It's like, hey, you want to wear Nike, Adidas, whatever.
Right.
I think the younger son wears Puma, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And he had a signature shoe in high school, which is pretty cool. If you're a high school kid, 16, 17 years old, you got your own signature shoe, even though it's, the Baller brand. That kid was out there, man. That kid was a celebrity before he even got to the league.
The other thing that LeVar mentioned, which was created a lot of headlines, was that in LeVar Ball's belief, he feels like Zach LaVine is definitely going to leave the Bulls in free agency, maybe try to get back to Los Angeles. Zach is from the Seattle area. Portland has cap space. He could look out there to try to team up with Damian Lillard. What did you make of LeVar's comments suggesting that Zach is probably going to go elsewhere?
Well, listen, he's got his ear to the NBA grind. He's got two sons in the NBA that talk to
pretty
people.
Pretty good sources.
So, they might have brought it up to him and whatever. But at the end, listen, the Bulls are going to offer Zach the max, okay? And my thought process is, listen, free agency, every player deserves to go through free agency. But if you know that the Bulls can offer you the most money, and you've just now made the first time in your career in 8 years made the playoffs. You made 2 All-Star teams. You're on the Olympic team. Every big success that you had at the basketball NBA level has come with the Chicago Bulls, because when you were in Minnesota, you were the third option. You were no All-Star. You were not even close to making an All-Star team. And when you got here, your hard work, his perseverance, all the things that he had to do. Because you remember, we got him with an ACL injury.
Yep.
And he had to work through that. And a lot of people were like, why would we take a kid who's not 100% healthy? We don't know what we're going to get. Well, he's a hard worker. Not too many guys in the NBA work as hard as Zach in the gym. He's a gym rat. So I knew he was going to get himself back. But he's accomplished a lot in the Chicago Bulls jersey. And now you made the playoffs for the first time in 8 years. You see the front office is doing whatever they can to make this a winning team, to put the players around you so you don't have to have the pressure every single night as a go-to guy to deliver. And if you look at, this year, And the year before we made it to the playoffs, before we got, Ball and Caruso and DeMar, Zach had to do everything. Zach had to score. Zach had to, rebound, assist, and he just wore out. And now you got guys around him, the pieces around him to take pressure off of him where he doesn't have to do everything every night. And my thing, if you don't like your role, because I hear that he didn't like his role. He didn't like being the number 2 guy. I don't believe that, but that's what you're hearing from people on the outside. He didn't like being the, so-called number 2 guy. But how can you be upset when you get 25 shots a game and you got the green light? If you want to come past half court and pull up from 3, you got the green light to do that. So how can you, if that is true, be upset about your role when you have the green light to be successful? I don't get that. I mean, what more do you want? 35 shots? I mean, because you can get them if you want them, It's about winning. It should be at this point of his career is year 8. You're getting ready to go into the back 9 of your career. It should be all about winning now. In the beginning, it was all about, playing time and trying to establish your brand and all that stuff. If you think about the success that he's had in 1 year, because the first year without DeMar and all these names that we mentioned, Zach wasn't getting commercials. You didn't see Zach on any, not even local commercials. You didn't see him doing any Howard Hankin commercials. You didn't see him doing anything outside of, anything. He wasn't doing anything. But this year, he's got 3 or 4 national commercials. Mountain Dew. He's on CarMax. He's on the NBA commercial. He's featured as one of the NBA guys. So a lot of this success he's having now is based off team success. And the more the team wins, the more you're going to get. The more you're going to play on national TV. The more you're going to play on, NBC and ESPN, TNT. The more you're going to play on ABC. All these big things that come along with winning. And that's what you want to do. And you're one of the main reasons why this team wins. You're not the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 8th man on the team. You're one of the main reasons why this team's winning. So why would you leave?
We talked about this last week, but I think it's important to point out again that Zach has a very good relationship with the Bulls front office. He likes playing for Billy Donovan. He likes his teammates. He likes the city of Chicago. This isn't the case of a disgruntled player trying to force his way to a new situation. He wants to be able to explore free agency, what it's all about. He wants to be courted. He wants to be wined and dined. He has an agent, Rich Paul of Clutch Sports, who represents LeBron James and Anthony Davis. They're probably going to take a look at Los Angeles and see what they have to offer out there. They certainly don't have cap space. That would have to be a sign and trade. But my what I'm trying to lead up to is I don't think Zach is just going to bolt and sign for 4 years somewhere and just tell the Bulls screw it. I think if it comes to the point where they have a conversation that Zach wants to leave, I think you would be amenable to trying to work out a sign and trade where both parties could benefit.
Well, yeah, I think, because again, you don't get an opportunity to have an all-star walk through the door. You have to develop an all-star or you have to go out and go get one. The Bulls have been very fortunate that he kind of grew up in their farm system, as you put, like in baseball. He grew up in the Bulls system to become an all-star after we lost an all-star in Jimmy Butler, and we see what Jimmy Butler's doing now.
Yeah, that's one of our topics coming up.
So that's something. If you're the Bulls, you're like, man, we can't. If we're going to do a sign and trade, we got to really investigate what's the best for him and what's the best for us. And if I'm talking to LA, I'm like this. Rob Pelinka, how you doing? Yeah, you want to offer me THT and Westbrook and a bag of Doritos?
Is that a blue light special you got going on your phone there?
Drive home safely. Click. I'm hanging the phone up. If AD is not in that conversation, we're not talking. Because why would you want to help LA? Like, why do you want to give LA a great player and then we're getting, just complimentary pieces back? Because
what about Deandre Ayton? Would you take him?
Oh man, that's tough. That's tough.
He may be on the move too.
Listen, I think you're going to be able to offer him a contract. I think you do. I think Phoenix does not want to pay him. They don't. I just felt like in the playoffs, like he was making it known that he was very unhappy in that series, that he wasn't getting the ball enough, and I think they're kind of tired of it. Like, tired of him complaining. And
he's playing against 6'7" forwards and he's doing nothing out there.
But you know what though, Mark? To his defense, like when you're a perimeter-oriented team and all you want him to do is set screens and dive, the kid has shown he's got skills. The kid's shown he can post up, he can hit mid-range jump shots. He may not have a 3-point game, but he has the ability that will come as his career goes along because he shoots the ball very nice from mid-range, from 18, 20 feet. He can knock down those shots. But you got to take advantage of a big dude like that. You can't. I mean, he runs the floor. How can he get the ball in transition? Like,
Right.
he's one of the fastest dudes on the floor. You watch him run, he runs like a gazelle.
There are games, though, you watch and he doesn't touch the ball for like minutes at a time.
And for a young player, Mark, it's very frustrating because if you feel like, hey, look, okay, I might not be the number one option because it's Booker. Number two option might be Chris Paul. So I should definitely be the third best player on this team. But now you got Mikal Bridges that's stepping up, and you got Jay Crowder who thinks he's better than what he is, and his role should be better. So those guys are taking a majority of the shots. And so when you get those guys taking 10, 12 shots, there's not a lot of shots to go around. And so he's not getting the shots that he thinks he deserves. And, Monty Williams, who's a great, great coach, is having a hard time convincing him what his role is and how important he is.
We got Steve Smith waiting in the Sriracha waiting room. So
Smitty.
Before we get to him, one more topic. Ayo Dosunmu, second-team All-Rookie, very well-deserved. We had him on the show. Go back on our YouTube log and check out that interview we had with Ayo. And here's a kid who just exceeded all expectations, got a very bright future.
He's got a huge, huge future with the Bulls. I think it'll be one of the cornerstones. There'll be a lot of people trying to throw his name in any kind of trade talks. And that's a good thing for Ayo because it shows you that how much people really appreciate your game. This is a kid who should have been a first-round pick, could have had a different attitude coming in, going in the second round. He had a draft party, and, he had everybody there, and then all of a sudden he's expecting to go in the top 25, and his name doesn't get called, and I tell you what, shows you the character of that kid, because I ain't gonna lie, if my name ain't in that top 10 when I was supposed to top 15, I like to turn the cameras off. turn. Everybody, the party's over. I don't know where I'm gonna get drafted. So I'll text you. Turn it off.
You gotta go.
But he kept the cameras going. They kept reporting on it, and he took it like a champ. And he came in with a chip on his shoulder, and didn't play early in the preseason because everybody was healthy. But as soon as guys started getting hurt, you couldn't keep that kid out the lineup because of his ability to run the point guard spot and his ability to defend and get after people.
So congratulations to Ayo Dosunmu, second-team NBA All-Rookie. Hey, when it comes to insurance for your auto, home, and business, make sure you contact the king of insurance, our good buddy, nationwide agent Jeff Vukovich. You can find him at jeffvuk.com. That's jeffvuk.com. And Stacey, remember...
Nationwide is on your side. Woo! The golden pipes are back, baby.
Steve Smith in the Sriracha waiting room. He is next on episode 79 of Gimme the Hot Sauce. Episode 79 of Gimme the Hot Sauce rolls on. We now like to welcome in a very special guest. You watch him on NBA TV, breaking down the regular season and the playoffs. Does a lot of work for the NCAA tournament as well for Turner. Steve Smith, the former Atlanta Hawks All-Star, the Michigan State great. Thank you so much for coming on Gimme the Hot Sauce. And you and Stacey are about the same age. When did you guys first cross paths competitively?
Well, I would say, Mark, first of all, thanks for having me. But you see his background versus my background. He got championships. He got Bulls stuff. I'm a little jealous right now. But I would probably say, I think just competing. I mean, I don't know if Stacey knew this. I was a big fan of his when he was in college. Him and Wayman Tisdale, because for some reason I thought I was going to be a big fella down on the block. And then so I always watched those guys. Anybody who had immaculate footwork, my dad used to say watch. So Wayman Tisdale, Stacey King, those are the guys that my dad had watching. And I became a guard because, in Michigan, everybody wanted to be Magic. So I thought I could be Magic. So I became a guard who liked to post up.
Yeah, I tell you what, I mean, I tell people all the time, like, that hesitation, the little that I've never seen. Yeah, Smitty it's called the Smitty. We call it the Smitty because I don't even see anybody hardly use it today. There's a couple of players that use it, and that used to be lethal. We used to talk about it all the time when we play y'all in Miami. It's like, man, don't go for that hesitation. Stay down. Just ride him. Don't go for it. He's going to stop and go, and he'll make you look crazy. And he always got us. He always got us with it.
I appreciate that, Stacey. When you can't jump, you got to have something to get, to get free. So I only could lay it up hard and smack the glass.
You had a lot of good battles with Michael Jordan in your career. People always talk about the greatness of Jordan, and that's come back to light with the Last Dance documentary. Fans of a younger age got to see how good and how ruthless Michael was as a competitor on the basketball court. What are some of your favorite memories of going up against Jordan?
I think for me, Stacey and Mark, the most fundamental player I've ever saw play, and I played against him and Kobe Bryant. I tell people, and people think I'm crazy, I'd rather guard Michael Jordan than Reggie Miller. I hated running around chasing Reggie. I knew what Michael was going to do, but it just went, even if you beat him to the spot, he would elevate and go a little bit higher, fade away, and obviously hit shots. But it came down to he was just such a competitor. I mean, every possession, it felt like the last one, and he let you know it. So I think for me, it was just trying to match his intensity, his competitiveness, and obviously not many people did. And then I thought I could beat him up on the other end and try to take his legs. But the one thing I loved about Michael was he just found a way. He found a way, and it was, yes, he got his numbers, but it was all about winning for him.
When I look at some of these teams today with all this young talent that is being assembled, you look at Detroit, what they're doing with all the Cade Cunningham and and Bay and all these young talents they got. It kind of reminds me of your early Miami days when you guys it was you, Glenn Rice, you had a young Ronnie Cycli, you had Grant Long. I mean, you guys, we looked at you guys as being like the team of the future if they would have been able to keep you guys together, because you guys used to give a lot of teams fits. You gave us fits when we met y'all in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think, Stacey, obviously you guys was the, head of the class. Everybody was trying to chase the Bulls. And we just thought, and I think what helped us was we had competitive guys. The one thing is me, Glenn, Grant, and Willie Burton, we were all from the state of Michigan. And we had all played together, AAU or against each other in pickup. Glenn went to Michigan. Willie left the state, went to Minnesota. And then Grant Long went to Eastern Michigan. So we had all been together. And I think the one thing about that, our era back there, it was just about winning. And so I think what we tried to do was use our size in the backcourt. Grant Long was always, Stacey, this is one of the most undersized power forward I've ever played with.
Yeah.
I mean, he would just compete. And Ronnie, at his size, was more of a power forward. But I think for us, is we just came out there, tried to compete. We had guys that, even back then, that could switch. I couldn't guard Stacey Bart, but as a big point guard, I could hold him up for a second, just for a second, until somebody come double. I think that's where we had our advantages. All of us, Grant Long could play a guard for a second. Willie and Glenn at 6'7", 6'8". I think we were that team that was just big enough and had switchability, but we didn't get over the hump because of the experience, and we just didn't have that experience. I'm with Stacey. I thought if they could have kept us together. They got impatient and they blew it up, and that's where we kind of went our different direction. I think we had too much success early, Stacey, and they wanted to have that. They wanted to see more of a progression, but no one won a championship in the East but the Bulls. So I don't know what they were looking for.
It's funny you say that. It's funny you say that, Steve, because when they did blow it up too early, because all you guys were like in your second and third year, or you and Glenn, and then you had Grant Long, Willie Burton. I mean, there was a lot of, you had a perfect mix of guys, and it did seem like they blew it up too soon.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and coming off the bench, you had guys that competed. Bimbo Coles, Keith Askins.
Yep.
My vet was John Sally, but I just thought for them is, we always look back, we talk about it. We wish we could have got another run at it. I mean, we were getting measured. I'm measuring sticking everybody's against the Chicago Bulls. It seemed like we play against the Bulls, we lose, and then the next thing you know, we lose another series. We lost to the Knicks, and then they said that was it. And that was it. I went to Atlanta. I think Glenn went to Charlotte.
Yeah, we went to Charlotte.
I think Ronnie went to Golden State. And we just all went our different directions.
Steve, we mentioned the fact that a new generation is getting to appreciate Michael Jordan again, and kind of the same thing with Magic Johnson. He now has a documentary out on Apple TV, which is really fascinating to hear people talk about his impact on the game, and then that crazy show on HBO, that Winning Time thing, which is just bizarre. I mean, some of the it's comical at times, but the actors that they have portraying Jerry West and even Jerry Buss, I mean, it's. We could go an hour on that, but I mean, how much of an impact was Magic Johnson in your life in terms of following him to Michigan State and being a big guard like he was?
Stacey and Mark, I mean, I didn't know any better, and I go back and I tell people it was a dream come true. I got a chance to work out with Magic. Who gets the chance to work out with Magic Johnson? And Magic, the greatest thing for him is he brought everybody back to Lansing because he's from Lansing, Michigan. Mm-hmm. And then I got a chance to work out with the Bad Boys Pistons in high school with Joe and Isaiah and Rodman and Sally, Vinnie Johnson. So for me, myself, Derek Coleman, Glenn, Willie, we all growing up thinking this was normal. Oh, let's just call Magic and call Isaiah, call Joe, and have pickup games. So I think for me, only knowing that, and obviously the only other, I would say, city that was nearby was Chicago. You heard of the great runs there. So for me, I always thought, well, I'm playing against Magic. I'm playing against Isaiah. I'm playing against Joe in their prime. It just gave me confidence. I think that's the one thing is that those guys did. And I always thank those guys. Spencer Haywood, as you talked about the documentary, went to my high school, a big mentor of mine. He would come back and just play pickup even at his older age. So I'm thinking, this is Spencer Haywood, this is Magic and Isaiah and Joe and Rodman. This is normal. So I think for us, myself, and especially Derek Coleman, Willie, Glenn, and all of us from the city of Detroit, those guys, by coming back and not being afraid to play pickup. And I don't know about you, Stacey, I don't see guys playing pickup anymore.
No.
Pros, college, high school, team, everybody right now is working out against that cone, working out against everything that doesn't move. I don't see guys being able to play pickup. I think that's where you learn the game just as much as working out.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that, because when you look at, we're always comparing eras, and, you got a lot of people saying, oh, this era would, in our era, they would destroy us. It's like, no, you wouldn't, because of the physicality that they would have to be able to go through. I think when you look at like guys like Steph Curry, there was guys like Mark Price that are doing what Steph Curry, there was guys doing what guys are doing today. It's that we didn't, the 3-point shot wasn't prevalent like it is now.
Totally right. I mean, Stacey, you're right. I mean, guys who took 3-point shot, Glenn Rice.
Yes.
He would take 3. I mean, and maybe have a couple 9-1-1 3, but he ended up with 5. We didn't shoot as many threes, and the physicality. I would say, Stacey, for me, what's the difference is if Stacey King or I got traded on the team, we could still play basketball, even if we don't know the plays per se and the terminology.
Yes.
I think just because of the feel of the game, it was just like going to the park because I know Stacey wanted to win. So if Stacey got it going, we're going to go to Stacey without even have to talk about it. Stacey scores. Okay, well, we're going to run the same play again. Stacey's mentality of a basketball IQ is I'm going to get doubled probably the next 2 or 3 trips, and somebody's going to be open. So the game, I think, was played more with your mind back then. I don't think none of us is more physically gifted than these guys, but I think knowing how to go win, when to take a foul, who got it going on. I mean, could I guard Stacey King? No. Well, I'm going to front him, and Ronnie Cycli, when the guard ball go over, you better be there, and then I can peel out. I don't think I see guys communicating. That's the one thing, Stacey, and you're close more than me. I'm in the studio. I don't see a lot of chatter anymore.
No.
It seemed like a whole game, no one's talking only to the refs, but I'm talking about teammates. When you came off the court in our era, everybody in the huddle, it seemed like it was too many people talking.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to tell you something to help you out to win.
Yeah, it's totally different. I mean, we get to the Final Four. I think that's where you see more of the communication on defense, guys talking, because I watched last night Golden State and Dallas. If you're not talking and knowing where Luka is and where the ball is going, he's going to go for 40 on you, okay? So you see Golden State, not only are they one of the best passing teams, I was telling my friend last night, that's a team that I would pay to go watch play, because they play such a beautiful brand of basketball, the passing, cutting, like how it was played in the 90s. You setting back screens, getting guys open. You setting up screens, rolling to the basket, and then the guard pops out for a 3. Now you got to make a decision. Do I step out on the guy who just set the back screen, or do I roll with the guy who's got the back screen? So when you watch Golden State play, Smitty, do you just get the same feeling that I get that it's a really good, fun brand of basketball to watch?
It is, Stacey. I just love it because I'm looking at it, and obviously, I'm biased because Draymond Green went to Michigan State, but they play where, just what Stacey said is, they're playing off a field. I mean, and obviously that everybody talks about their turnovers. You're going to have some turnovers when you're trying to make backdoor plays and dribble handoffs, and guys are slipping. But, I mean, their communication on defense is unbelievable, the way they can push people to the left. I mean, it seemed like the entire game, Stacey, they was pushing Luka to the left.
Yes.
And the help was there. And we're just going to rotate. And, obviously back in the day, Stacey, you double team Stacey, he kick it, and then the guy, that wide open guy in the corner, he starts making shots you're supposed to lose. But we're not going to let Stacey beat us until he can decide that he going to make the pass to baby beat us with the pass. That's what I love right now, because the Golden State Warriors, where they're pushing the basketball. Another team I love, Stacey, not because I played for them, is the Miami Heat organization.
Yes.
I'm not going to take anything away from them. I'm saying this out of love and appreciation. I've never seen a team with 8, 9 undrafted players, Stacey, in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yes.
How do you have 8 or 9 undrafted players? And that's a testament to not the guys, the scouting, picking these guys. It's the culture, because they have built a culture. Because I'm going down the roster, State. I'm like, he didn't get drafted. He didn't get drafted. He didn't get drafted. He didn't get drafted. And they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. And the guys that are the guys like Jimmy Butler, they wasn't no high guys out of college either.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're starting backcourt. Gabe Vincent and Max Strus. Max Strus played at DePaul. He was with the Bulls for a cup of coffee and a two-way deal. He had an ACL tear. Miami brought him in, and now he's a key part of what they're doing down there. And you know, Stacey's a trendsetter in his broadcasting career. He's the guy who gave Jimmy Butler the nickname Jimmy Buckets. Jimmy G Buckets.
Jimmy
the G stands for
yes. Yes. And, you know, I see people stealing it all the time, Smitty. But, you know, hey, it's all part of the game. It's flattery. When they taking something that you do, it's flattery, man. You don't take it personal. But, you know, I will second that, what you said about culture, because you go back to when we played, when Pat Riley was there. You know, I was with Pat his first year in Miami when they traded Glenn to Charlotte for Alonzo Mourning. And he established culture then. You know, we had Kevin Gamble on that team, Pete Myers. You know, we had Kevin Willis was on the team because you played with him in Atlanta. And, you know, he established culture back then. I mean, we go to training camp, right? So training camp was up in Boca Raton. So we up at the Ritz-Carlton in Boca Raton, because Pat only likes to stay in Boca Raton, you know, in those kind of hotels. And so we're up there, you know, we're thinking, oh, there's all these jet skis and golf courses. And, you know, Glenn Rice and them had been there with the other regimes, you know, where training camp was kind of like a laid back. It was kind of like country club atmosphere. Dudes was playing golf in between practices or whatever. And I remember the first night we get there at the Ritz-Carlton in the ballroom, and Pat Riley said, he made it clear, if you brought your golf clubs, you might as well turn around and send them back home, because there'll be no golf. You'll be too tired to play golf. And right then and there, I was like, what are you talking about? You know, because in the Bulls, you know, when we were winning and we were going, you know, our seasons were going till late June. So Phil would always tell us, come in training camp, you know, 65, 70, you know, % in shape, and we'll work our way in. We didn't care how we looked in preseason. We're just going to use that time to work ourselves into shape. But Pat Riley, boy, I tell you what, you play on a Pat Riley team, you better be in Navy SEAL shape. I'm telling you, dude, because he came in and the professionalism changed. Like we couldn't wear as a group. Like if you were sponsored by Nike and I was sponsored by Reebok, we couldn't wear Nike or Reebok stuff. We had to wear Miami Heat issued gear. So if you saw us in sweats, everybody had the same sweats on. You know, you weren't repping your company that you're working. He just changed the complete culture, and he was way ahead of all these other coaches when it came to getting guys out to CBA. You know, you talking about John Starks when he was in New York. You talking about Anthony Mason, who turned out to be a great player, a Draymond Green type of player for him in New York. He got Vashawn Leonard, who went with Minnesota, who you know in the Big Ten. He brought him there. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's been able to find Bruce Bowen started there. Yeah, Bruce Bowen started, and we all know how great a defensive player he was. He got cut because they didn't have enough room for him. So you start looking up and down that roster, man, they have been ahead of everybody, just like San Antonio's been ahead of everybody as far as the foreign players. Miami has been ahead of everybody when it comes to getting those guys off the scrap heap that everybody overlooks and don't give them the respect that they deserve. And they go get those guys and they turn them into winners and just hard-nosed players.
Totally agree. I mean, you said it best, Stacey. He's been, I mean, everybody that Pat Riley, just like he just go finds a gem, but it's all about those guys with chip on their shoulder.
Yep.
Hey, Steve, earlier in the show, we talked about Zach LaVine and his impending free agency, and it looks like he's going to be one of the biggest names that's going to be on the market this year. There's been a lot of rumors floating around NBA circles that he might be looking to leave Chicago and leave money on the table. If you were advising Zach LaVine, what would you tell him is the most important thing at this stage of his career where he's finally experienced what it's like to go to the playoffs?
You know, I want everybody to get as much money as they can. First of all, Mark, I mean, I believe in that because you worked hard, but I think you got to balance that with winning. I mean, it is nothing like winning. When you get a taste of winning, and I think the one thing for Zach, you guys can correct me, I think this is his first year.
Yes.
Yeah, first time.
And it becomes contagious. I mean, for him, pick a spot that you know you have a chance to win. Everybody can't win a championship, but I want to be with a group of guys that we know after we finish playing a series, all we can say is they were more talented. That's it. I don't want to say anything. If they were more talented, I'm okay. But I think the one thing for Zach Levine is, because when you look back and you get me and Stacey's age, you can have those things. See those things behind him? Those are the things that's going to be matter. And it's not even going to be the rings or the trophies or the banners. It's those memories of you went through whatever you went through with those group of guys, and you can take that experience and apply that to everything else in your life, and obviously pass it on if you have children and everybody around you, because everybody, no matter what they say, want to be around a winner.
Exactly. And you know this too, Steve, is like guys who didn't win early in their career and they took the money and, they took the losses with them. When they get to that end of their career, that 9-10 year, they want to go to a team that has a chance to win. Now they want to win games. And, that's the one thing I said about Zach is like, hey, 8 years is a long time to not win. He's had, multiple coaches. He's played for 7 or 8 coaches in his career. And finally now the success that he's gotten has been through hard work, his perseverance from the injury that he had. He had ACL injury when the Bulls first got him. But now all the accolades that he's received has been in the Bulls uniform. And you're in a big city. There's no other city like Chicago. I mean, unless you're in L.A., New York, or Miami, those are the cities you want to be in. And Chicago, the fans love him here. So to me, it'd be hard for him to leave. I hear all these trade scenarios, sign and trade, or he might leave $40 million on the table.
Right.
You and I, we ain't leaving $40 million on the table, especially if we win it too. No. I don't care if we ain't winning. I ain't leaving $40 million on the table.
Stacey, I got to ask you a question because you guys are there in front. I was amazed that 2 wing guys could coexist.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 wing guys. I'm not going to say they're the same, but that's 2 wing guys. And obviously at times you had DeRozan really, I think, at the forefront of being an MVP. And then you still had Zach Levine at his level. And it could flip-flop. I mean, it could be next year Zach Levine could be in that MVP chatter and DeRozan at his age still an all-star chatter, and they were winning. I mean, I just thought, unfortunately for y'all had the injuries down the stretch, and you need Patrick Williams. I thought if he was there all season, it'd been different. Yeah, and I thought if you had Lonzo Ball. But talk to me, Stacey. I wanted to know as a fan, those 2 guys, it looked like they could coexist and still win games, and they're 2 wing players.
Yeah, the one thing about DeMar is an ultimate team player. He came in with the attitude like, hey, I know this is Zach's team. I'm just here to play and help him, take some pressure off him. And he was very true and sincere. The thing I liked about him was not only was he a good basketball player, but he was a good mentor to the younger players, Patrick Williams and Kobe White. He was because a lot of times, Steve, this, sometimes you get pros, really former good players. They're not as good as they used to be, and they're on the downside of their career, and they're not playing starters minutes anymore, but they're still mentors. But a lot of these young kids go, well, you telling me to do this, but you ain't playing, that kind of thing. But when you see a guy like DeMar going out there and dropping, 35 points on like 8 games in a row, that hadn't been done since Michael Jordan did in the Bulls jersey, that's impressive. And kids, taking these kids underneath his wing. Ayo got his jersey retired at the University of Illinois, and it was a day after a game.
He drove down there.
He drove down there 2.5 hours to Champaign to sit there and watch Ayo get his jersey retired, which shows you what kind of person he is. So I like the fact that they both were dynamic scorers. I think the biggest thing that hurt us is when Zoe went out, because Zoe is kind of like Chris Paul was to Phoenix. He's a facilitator. He knows how to get guys easier shots. We didn't do a lot of isolation when Zoe was playing. We had to go to isolation when he got hurt. And I thought, as you get in the playoffs, They know how to defend that. During the regular season, you can get away with that because it's 82 games. And no one's really trying to stop you. You got the basic defense because nobody, especially playoff teams, they don't want to show you. If we're going to blitz the pick and roll now in game 35, then what adjustments are we going to make when we start the playoffs? So you're not going to show that. So that's what Milwaukee did is they doubled them, tripled them, sometimes sent 4 dudes at them. And that really hurt them. And not having Zoe killed us, I thought, because not only does he facilitate the offense, he controls the fast break. He gets you easy baskets. He was our second leading rebounder at the point guard position. And defensively, one of the best defensive guards, kind of like Drew Holiday is for Milwaukee. Had he not got hurt, I think he'd been all defense because he is that good. He's got great size, 6'6". He was second in blocks. He was leading the team in blocks before he went out. It's 6'6", your point guard. So if we get all those guys back, Smitty, and a couple, as you know, we need some shooters. We need some guys that can knock down shots. That's the new NBA now. You see these teams. I'm not a big fan of the 35, 40 threes, especially when your team, you got guys shooting under 30% and they're jacking up threes. If I got a dominant big man, I feel that I still, 90s basketball mentality. You pound that ball inside and you make them double them. If you don't double them, you go to work, big fella. We're going to feed you. Just like you said, if a guy's got it going, you got to go. And I think a lot of that, has to be taught. I think a lot of that has to be coached. A lot of that's got to be, hammered into these kids' head how to play the right way. And if you're watching these playoffs, you're seeing these teams, the Final Four teams know how to play. They know how to play the right way, and that's what separates them from the rest of the bunch who didn't get to the Final Four.
Hey, Steve, one of the things
agree,
one of the things that's been really strange in these playoffs, both of last year's finalists are gone. You can kind of understand with Milwaukee. They lost Chris Middleton, their second best player, and they lost a tough 7-game series to Boston. But have you ever seen anything as strange as that Game 7 between Phoenix and Dallas? I mean, Phoenix wins 64 games during the regular season, clearly the best team all year long. They call it the revenge tour because they lost in the finals last year to Milwaukee. And for them to come out with that performance in Game 7, what was your reaction watching that game?
Usually you don't lose Game 7 at home, especially with the pedigree they had, a team that went to the finals the year before and also had such a league as they was obviously the clear number 1 seed in the whole entire association. To me, Stacey and Mark, I had never seen a team lose confidence like they did. I thought you can have a bad game, but it was no chatter. They lost confidence, and that's the one thing that shocked me. It looked like from about 5 to 7 guys that their confidence went there. You can have a John Starks night where you just can't make shots, but he never lost confidence. Starks was shooting that ball in that final, and he thought every shot was going in. I thought the Phoenix Suns lost confidence, and then for me, it seemed like they just lost all their ability to defend, and that's confidence too on the other end. And I was a big guy that loved to talk, Stacey. You knew that. If you're going to talk, you got to keep talking. Yeah. They weren't talking in that game, and that's when I knew they kind of lost their confidence.
I thought when they lost the confidence when they opened up that can of DNA, that kick-ass DNA that like Michael Jordan has, Kobe, Larry Bird, and they opened that in Luka. And they now have unleashed a killer. Like I think from here on out, from his career, as long as he can come in shape, that's the only thing that's going to keep him from reaching his potential because he likes to party. He likes to come in and do his thing. He's a young kid, but the last couple of years he's come into training camp out of shape, which has hurt him early on. But he works himself back into shape. But I thought Devin Booker opened up a can of whoop ass after that because his mentality totally changed. You saw. He had that in his eyes, like, okay. And I remember him coming off when they were saying, oh, you talk trash or something when you're up, And when I heard him say that, I was like, oh, it's over. They're going to beat Phoenix. And so I think now they've unleashed a demon in this kid. You're going to see him take that next level up now where he'll be constantly in the MVP race.
Totally agree. And I think the one thing for him is, I'm looking forward, Stacey, to see the comeback he has against this Golden State Warriors in Game 2. This is going to tell me, to Stacey's point, if he's ready to take that next step. Because he didn't have a bad game. He just didn't have a Luka game that we were looking for.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve, last thing for me, just from a broadcasting standpoint, I am just fascinated by the way NBA TV is able to get through 10, 12, 14 games on a night and constantly update. I know that some of these shows are re-aired and, they take segments out and they bring in the fresh games. You got any stories about, going down to the wire and thinking, man, this is going to look really bad on the re-air? Because you guys have to work so hard to update everything. And there's got to be some times where you say something going, man, I wish I hadn't said that because it's going to run about 10 more times tonight.
It is, Mark. I think for us is, first of all, you got to love it. Because, it's I call games for the Hawks. It's totally a different, I would say, experience. At NBA TV, and you hate the nights, you say, you look at the schedule, and it's 14 games. 14 games. And so the one part you got to obviously rely on your teammates, whoever's obviously the host, that's the point guard, and whoever else is the two wing guys. Yeah. We call it wing guys because trying to watch all 14 games and then come out there and act like you watched all of it. Yeah. That's the one thing is at the end. And when you have 4 games come down the stretch and you're trying to watch all of them, you got to conquer and divide. We definitely got to conquer and divide because that's the challenge. That's what I love about it. That's when, I think, Stacey, for us, that the league is in great hands. Yes. Because sometimes we've had some years where we know it's only going to be 2 games out of this 14 that comes down to the last 2 minutes. But when we have 5 or 6 games come down to the last 2 minutes, that's when I think the league is in good hands.
And see, I don't think people know how much work you put in at NBA TV because I did it a few times down there. And you left us, hey, Steve,
there's too much work.
Steve, it was like a sweatshop down there. You coming in like 1:00 in the afternoon and ain't leaving until like 2 in the morning. And I'm like, and the only saving grace was because I went down there and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. It's pretty cool, boom, boom, boom. And you going through, you repeating games over and over, that's no deal because I love basketball. Steve loves basketball too. But I was like, man, I did not know y'all worked this hard because like when I do a game with the Bulls, it's 2.5, 3 hours tops and we done. We on the plane, we going home, whatever. If I do a studio show, it's just for that little 20, 30-minute stretch and then I'm going home. But man, you go down there and do NBA TV, man, you better bring a pillow and a comforter and get ready to make out because you working all day long. But the good thing about it is so many good people down there and it just makes the job go so much. You don't even look at the time. And then they got little runners. Like you can order food. Like you can order. That's the selling point right there. Steve, you know it too. Look, Steve know. You go down there and you order any food in Atlanta and they'll go get it. They'll go get whatever restaurant
you get the Lou Williams wings?
Oh, it's not even like DoorDash. They actually send a person to go get the food. Yeah. And it's always hot because they pick it up right away and you don't get nothing, nothing bad. But I love it. Oh, one more question for you, Steve. The one guy that I always say that reminds me of you when I watch him play. Who do you think it is? Current player.
Today's game.
Today's game.
Whew. Cade Cunningham?
Kind of, sort of. DeJounte Murray.
Yes. I love DeJounte Murray. He's just so much faster than me, those things.
Yeah, he's faster. He's faster. But the way he plays, the length, of how he plays with, every time we play the Spurs, I always say he reminds me of Smitty. Because he just...
I love that kid, because I look at it, the way he's approaching Stacey, and he's a winner. You know what I mean? That's the one thing I like about that kid. And I think that was the best place he could go to start his career. I hope he ends his career in San Antonio because Pop has developed this young man. I think he got a chance, Stacey, because on both ends, he can definitely slide his feet. Now, I ain't sliding my feet like that. I grab and hold a little bit.
See, Smitty, he don't want to give himself credit, man. Smitty can play some defense. He wasn't no cone, as Patrick Beverly called Chris Paul. He wasn't no cone now. And Smitty can play some defense, and he can block some shots. So don't be discrediting yourself, boy.
In this era, I have a problem. We couldn't touch nobody, Stacey. In our era, I was pretty good. I could grab, hold, and forearm and get through screen and rolls.
But they would have a hard time. They'd have a hard time guarding you, though. They'd have a hard time guarding you because you go right into the post. You'd be like, Mouse in the house. Hey, right here, bring it. Oh, I got Steph Curry on me. Oh, right here. Yeah, he would post you up. Don't sleep on. Hey, Smitty, you over there being modest, boy. Smitty can hoop. Don't sleep. He can hoop.
I appreciate that, Stacey.
Well, there's no question about it. Steve Smith, the great at Michigan State, also played for the Atlanta Hawks, the Miami Heat, got a ring with the Spurs, a wonderful NBA career, and now doing great work for NBA TV. Steve, thank you so much for joining us. Last thing, who's going to win? Who's going to win it all? Who's going to take home the championship?
You know, I was picking Boston, Stacey, and then unfortunately what happened to Al, I hope he's playing tonight.
He is.
Yeah, he's playing tonight.
I had Boston, and Golden State. For some reason right now, that Miami Heat, without that, and I didn't think whether you win or not that first game, I think you set the tone, Stacey, for the Boston Celtics to come in. I don't think they got a chance to establish without Marcus Smart and Al Horford. So I'm going with the Heat versus the Warriors, and then I think the Warriors win it all.
Could be another championship for our old buddy Steve Kerr.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck. Have a great summer, and keep up the great work at NBA TV.
I appreciate you guys. Stacey, I'm dinner on you when I come to Chicago.
you making all that money down at NBA TV, boy. I need your money.
Some things never change. Give me the hot sauce.
All right, Smitty, thanks, boy. We're going to send you some hot sauce, too.
I need some.
We'll send you some.
Stacey, you want to tell the folks about the hot sauce? Give me the hotsauce.com.
Yes. I'm going to read it way better than Timmy Whispers did, okay? Are you ready, America? If you like hot sauce and barbecue sauce, then you are listening to the right show. Give Me the Hot Sauce has the best small batch organic sauces to spice up your kitchen. Chicago-style red sauce is mild, but it has a garlic twist. Our St. Pat's Verdi's green sauce, which is my personal favorite, extra avocado and cilantro. And our King's Q, which goes on barbecue. If you didn't get that Q, okay?
Yeah, and then, Memorial Day's coming up. A lot of barbecues.
A lot of barbecue coming up. And then our new signature sauce, Chicago Fire 1871. If you want to... What the hell is that? That sounds...
No, that's not hot
That sounds like a porn. What are you doing over there?
She's breathing because of hot.
She's breathing because of
hot.
America, that was DJ Pablo. I thought we accidentally got on his computer. He had porn going on over there. So anyway, before I was rudely interrupted by this man playing freaky noises in the background, our Chicago Fire 1871, our new one, will have you calling 911. Okay, so to get these hot sauces, use code HOTSAUCE21 to get 21% off your first order. That's hot sauce for 21% off. That's GIMME, thehotsauce.com. We have t-shirts and mugs and other swag too. That was from Timmy Whispers. It's corny and I don't like it, but I just read what they gave to me, America.
Hey, one thing we didn't really go into in great detail during our conversation with Steve was Jimmy Butler's 41-point performance in Game 1. We're taping on Thursday afternoon. They're going to play Game 2 tonight. Jimmy Butler, to me, is such an enigma. Because when he first came to Chicago, he couldn't have been the more down-to-earth guy that you'd ever want to meet. And then as his career went on and he achieved a certain degree of fame, he kind of changed a little bit, and he kind of blew through Minnesota and blew through Philadelphia, and finally he said, well, I found a home in Miami because they get me. They accept me for who I am. What do you make of the whole Jimmy Butler enigma?
Well, I tell you what, I'm glad. Listen, I know Jimmy. Jimmy's a hard worker. Jimmy wants to win. Jimmy's always going to be the hardest worker in the room, and that doesn't change, and Jimmy's had a tough life, tough upbringing, and to be able to get to where he is, I don't think anybody that knew Jimmy Butler as a child, as a high school player, college player, would ever thought Jimmy would be this kind of player that he is now. So that's a lot of credit for Jimmy busting his ass, working hard, doing little things. Again, it started here in Chicago. He developed here in Chicago.
Because his first year he didn't play at all.
He didn't play at all. 8 minutes a game. But he worked himself in. A lot of injuries happened. He got thrown out there. Tibbs had to trust him to be the point guard. Because I don't think Jimmy would have ever been looked at as being a ball handler.
Right.
Had Derrick Rose not gotten hurt, Rip Hamilton, Benelli, and all these guys who were hurt at the time. I don't think he ever would have been looked at as a ball handler. So Tibbs trusted him to run him, get him the offense, and that's the only way they can win is to get him the ball because he was the best player on the floor. Joakim was out. So a lot of the Bulls regulars were out, and he pretty much carried that team, got most improved player.
He had like 3 All-Star teams in Chicago.
And he made 3 All-Star teams. And, and I think little stardom went to his head a little bit. And then it kind of cost him in some different places. He, ran amok in Minnesota, and then it went to Philadelphia. And, of course, had they chose Jimmy, they might be winning the championship.
Well, how about him going to the locker room after they eliminated Philadelphia, going, Tobias Harris over me?
I'm going to tell you, listen, guys don't forget, man.
Yeah,
This league is about remembering who counted you out, who traded you. Anytime he plays the Bulls, he tries to go at the Bulls. Anytime he goes to he's got a lot of vendettas with people that gave up on him. And so that's what drives him. Sometimes I think he's over the top a little bit with, like you saw in the Miami blow up, where him and Spoelstra got in. Now that I guarantee if you talk to Jimmy and set him down, I guarantee you say, hey, I was a little bit, overboard. I shouldn't have done that, But I tell you what it did do is let him know, like, you're in a different place. This is not Philadelphia. This is not, Chicago. This is not Minnesota. We don't do that here. There's a culture here. When you have a guy as old as, Udonis Haslem check you, that showed Jimmy something. Like, and Spoelstra, to get Spoelstra mad, to throw a clipboard at you, that shows you the intensity that organization has, the culture that's been created by Pat Riley, that they don't care how big you are. It's evident, just like Steve Smith just said, when we just had him on, is you look up and down the roster, they don't have superstar players. Jimmy is their biggest star. And so you look up down that roster, these are guys off of, 10-day contracts, guys that were in the G League. Duncan Robinson was playing in the G League when they got him. And then they brought him in and he got the big contract. So Matt Strus, now's a starter. We had him here, he got cut, and now he's a starter in Miami, a big reason why they're in the position that they are. So they're able to go get guys, that don't have to be stars or celebrities. And I think Jimmy realized, like, whoa, I don't want to lose this situation and get kicked out of here, because then everybody's going to start thinking it's a Jimmy thing and not organizational things. And I think they're 16-5 since that blow up, and they've been one of the hottest teams since that.
Well, people love to put together lists of who's the best player in the league. And when you look at regular season numbers and analytics, if you were putting together a list of the top 20 players in the league, you probably wouldn't put Jimmy in there based on his numbers. No. But he has that ability to raise his game in playoff situations. Remember in the bubble, he took them all the way to the finals, and he's putting up huge numbers in this postseason. The thing with Jimmy now, on social media, a lot of Bulls fans are going, see, I told you they shouldn't have traded Jimmy. But do you think it was a situation within the organization that it wouldn't have worked with Jimmy had they kept him here?
You know what? I mean, with the current front office, I don't think it would have worked. I don't know. We can't say it would have worked with AK and Mark in this front office. We don't know because they never got a chance to deal with Jimmy. But Jimmy at that particular time was one of the, at least top 20 players in the game. And, when they moved Jimmy, there was reasons why they moved Jimmy. And then it was shown in Minnesota, the reason why the Bulls were right. And then Minnesota, the blow up in Minnesota, and then he's in Philadelphia. And, every situation, the common denominator was Jimmy.
Joel Embiid still says he loves Jimmy.
Yeah,
he
but you know
Jimmy
what?
Was still there.
Because Jimmy gives you a sense of toughness. See, Jimmy, that's why I loved him when he was here. Is that Jimmy, if someone was doing something to a Bulls player, Jimmy was the first one in the guy's face. I like that kind of mentality. I like that pit bull type of guy that's not going to back down from me. I mean, he went head to head with Nene, who's about 6'10", 260, 70 pounds, outweighed Jimmy by about 50 pounds, and went nose to nose with him when no one would ever even think about messing with Nene. So Jimmy showed me some things as far as his heart. He plays hard. He competes every single night. You know exactly what you're going to get out of him. Sometimes he's gonna rub you the wrong way. It's just like any superstar player that you have on your team. If he respects you, which I believe he respects, Eric Spoelstra, and you hear him talk about Pat Riley, Coach Riley. Pat Riley hasn't coached a team in a long time. You still call him coach. That tells you the respect that Jimmy has for the organization, the guys who are running the organization. And I think Jimmy needs tough people around him. You can't put a soft coach around Jimmy. And if you go and listen, Tibbs Tibbs let Jimmy do what Jimmy wanted to do, okay? Because that's, Tibbs is, a Jimmy guy. So he let Jimmy do what he wanted. But when he went to Philadelphia, he had Brett Brown. Brett Brown was not the guy that could challenge Jimmy and say, this is what the team is doing. This is what we're going to do. And he just look at you like, dude, you just, you lost the most games in the history of Philadelphia. How are you going to tell me what to do? That kind of thing. Right. Now you go to Miami. Now you got ultimate respect for Spoelstra because he's coached Dwayne Wade, Shaq, LeBron James. I mean, he's coached some of the best players in the world, the top 75 players, plus he's won championships. And he's got the Godfather backing him up. So he's got the backing of front office. So you can't go over Spoelstra's head and say, I'm not going to do what you say. I'm going to go talk to Pat. I'm going to get you up out of here. Well, Pat's going to tell you to go back down there, and what did the coach tell you to do? Yeah. What did Spoelstra tell you to do? And that's where I think where organizations sometimes get in trouble because they don't back the coach. Because you need to be firm with guys. You need to be able to tell guys, hold guys accountable. Because this is not just in basketball and sports, Mark, but in life in general. This is an era of kids. Kids don't want to be held accountable. They want to be successful, and they want all the perks that come along with being successful, but they don't want to be held accountable when they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They want to be, drive the nice cars and have all this money and do all this other stuff, but when it comes to be accountable, being on time, being a good teammate, doing the things that you're supposed to do, be at charity events on time, they don't want to do all that. And they just want to be when they want to be who they want to be. That's when they want to be, and it's really sad sometimes watching. But it's good to see Jimmy. He got checked in Miami, and it seems like they worked it out, and he's back to doing the things that Jimmy does, especially in the playoffs. I
still don't know. We love Pax, but the idea of bringing Dwayne Wade, Jimmy Butler, Rajon Rondo together with Fred Hoiberg as the coach, I don't know what they were thinking.
Well, I mean, listen, you got to give them credit because, they're looking at, hey, Dwayne Wade's at the end of his career. Maybe he'll come in here, reach Jimmy, and, show Jimmy how to be a pro, how to be.
He taught Jimmy how to force his way out.
Yeah. And then, I thought the Rondo thing was awesome. Because I was around Rondo. Rondo was a great teammate. The younger players, Bobby Portis, and all the younger players loved, they loved what Rondo brought to the table. Rondo was going to, just like DeMar was doing. He's going to the G League games, watching kids play. Yeah. He's inviting kids over to watch film. And Rondo's going to be a coach if he doesn't, I think he just got in trouble just recently. But before all that, you couldn't tell me that Rondo's not going to be a head coach in the NBA someday. He's got a great mind, high basketball IQ.
Yeah, and people probably remember that Jimmy didn't play that well in that playoff series against Boston because Rondo carried him to those first two wins, and they were looking for either Jimmy or Wade to step up when Rondo went out with a thumb injury, and neither one of them really played that well in the series.
No, they didn't. And
that was the end, really, for everything.
Because Rondo was playing with a chip on his shoulder against Boston too.
Yeah,
and he was playing out of his mind. He was hitting shots, and he carried us in those first two games. And listen, Dwayne Wade is a top 75 player, and Father Time is undefeated. There's only so much a guy at that part of his career could have done. And I think more when Paxson and were looking at that move, it was more so to bring a guy in that Jimmy can sponge information off of. Because Jimmy hadn't really played with that caliber player. Derrick Rose, Jimmy was a role player when Derrick Rose was at his high point. He wasn't even getting any playing time. And so when Derrick got, injured, Jimmy really never really got to play with D Rose, prime D Rose. And so I think their thinking was bring in a veteran player like, who went to Marquette, who knows Jimmy, who are really good friends because Jimmy idolized, Dwayne Wade. And then the D Wade come in here, show him how to be a pro, show him how the preparation, with what he already does. And then you have a super player in Jimmy.
It was a strange chapter in Bulls history, and now
a lot of guys that we're looking at right now that are in the playoffs that could have been Bulls players.
It's been 5 years since the Bulls did not give Jimmy the Supermax, thinking he wouldn't age well, and he's playing the best basketball of his career. Final thing before we get out of here: big dispute in college football. Some of the biggest name coaches going at it. Nick Saban accusing Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher of buying recruits with the NIL agreement where you can trade off your name, image, and likeness for cash or different services from businesses. and Jimbo Fisher fighting back saying he ain't God, he thinks he's God. I mean, this is some fun stuff right now.
Well, this NIL stuff is really gotten out of hand, and we had talked about it before, earlier. The thing is now it's no different than, when you didn't have it. The best schools are going to get the best players.
Right.
So now you're throwing in the player has his own likeness. He can make money. It's the same thing. The schools with the most boosters, the kids with the schools with the most boosters have the most money, the most opportunity. So if I'm looking at, if I'm a basketball player and I'm looking at Kentucky and I'm looking at, let's say, West Virginia. Okay, West Virginia had a better year than Kentucky, let's say, but Kentucky's got NIL money, so I'm going there.
Right. Yeah.
I just saw where the kid from Miami, one of the basketball players from Miami, he was getting a certain amount of NIL money, and then they brought in another player. I don't know if he came in from the portal or if he was a recruit, but he got more money than the guy who's already been in the program for 2 years. So that kid wanted to renegotiate with the booster, whoever was giving that NIL money, and the guy's like, "No, that's it. You signed a deal." And so the kid is threatening to leave. And this is what you're going to have. I think, listen, the portal was great for a certain extent. Okay, if coaches are able to leave, players should be able to leave. But I also think you should only be able to transfer once. You should not be able to jump in the portal like it's a time machine and you leave every year. I saw where a kid who went to Oklahoma, who transferred, got in the portal, went to Oregon, now jumped in the portal again after Oregon. Now he's going to Texas Tech. I mean, he's transferred twice in 2 years, and I think I think that's wrong. I think that's terrible. If you transfer one, we'll give you one. But next time you have to sit out a year. Yeah. And that will discourage these kids from jumping.
It's like the Wild West out there now in college sports.
Well, because all these people now can use the NIL to recruit. And then they also can say, well, you're not happy here. We can give you with the portal because you don't have to sit out. So I could tell you, Mark Shanowski, you're only getting 8 shots here at University of Illinois, but you're going to get 15 shots if you come play with me at Iowa. And you're going to be like, oh, yeah, I like that. It sounds good. A young kid's going to listen to you, and they're going to say, wow, that sounds really entertaining. Yeah. I'm only getting 5 shots here, but I'm going to be the man in Iowa. Plus, I'm going to get the NIL money. I'm gone.
And they also dragged Deion Sanders into it, was saying that they bought a big-time recruit to come to Jackson State.
You know what, man? Listen. Deion Sanders is going to get people just off his name in general. I don't know if you follow him, but, I follow him and I watch, what they're doing at Jackson State, okay? He's building a powerhouse down there. And see, right now, it used to be, Mark, especially in the NFL, and my basic both college basketball and NFL, it's like you had to go to a big school for scouts to see you. You don't have to. You can go to, Stony Brook now, and if you can play, they're going to find you. So there's that myth now saying you got to play at the Blue Bloods. You got to be at Duke, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Kentucky. You got to play at these big schools to get noticed. That no longer is the case now. You can be anywhere. And now with NIL money involved, now that even makes it more entertaining for people to go to these HBU universities and go down there and play. And you're going to play right away. You're going to play for a coach who's a Hall of Fame, NFL Hall of Fame coach who's well respected. And, you're going to do it.
DJ Pavel leaving.
Look at just sneaking
5 o'clock.
Yeah, you know what? He's fired.
I think immigration's waiting for him outside the doors to tell her.
Listen. There's no time clocks here. Okay. First of all,
this is creative art.
It's creative art. First of all, Mark,
no 9 to 5 job.
Mark, first of all, you can't go out for lunch and be on a 2-hour lunch break and then come to work and then tell you I can only be on for 45 minutes. Look at it. Come on, man, close the show. Get us off. We get ready to get off. Look at this, man.
The one thing, though, the commercial that Nick Saban and Deion did together with the whole thing wearing the blue blazers and all that, they're going to have to reshoot that. They get new spin on the whole thing, huh?
Yeah, because, Deion's getting some recruits now. They're winning, and plus, that's big for Jackson State because that commercial is funneling money to them as well. Yeah. And Deion, like I said, Deion's going to get money regardless because he's going to get people down there regardless because it's Deion Sanders. And he's a great coach to play for. He's a hell of a motivator. If you watch him talk to his team, he's got both his sons playing on his team. Both those kids were Division I players, could have played anywhere in the country, Florida State, anywhere they wanted. They chose to play with their dad, and now, you're starting to see other big-time recruits saying, hey, I want to play for Coach Prime.
Coach Prime.
They just got a new locker room. Yeah. They got a new facility, so now it's on par to Division I schools. So, yeah, good luck to Prime.
Well, the battle is on. Texas A&M beat Alabama last year, and now there's a big feud between Jimbo Fisher.
He just apologized.
Nick Saban.
Nick Saban just apologized.
Things happen during Gimme the Hot Sauce.
Yeah, things happen. So we bring it to when news happens. We bring it just like the hot sauce. We bring it right to you.
And remember, Windy City Limousine.
Oh, Windy City. Bob, is it okay if I read this or you gonna leave? Jesus. All right, here we go. Don't leave yet, Paul. We still need you to close the show. Windy City Limousine provides championship service. Making a reservation is so easy. It's a slam dunk. Let Windy City break the full core pressure of traffic and get you to your destination in style and on time. Contact us at 866-94-WINDY. Again, that's 866-94-WINDY. And tell them Pavel sent you, because Pavel is trying to get out of here. And when you're in Windy City, if you got to get somewhere fast, that's when you want to call Windy City. So Pavel, he's not getting in Windy City right now. He's getting his little Hyundai. Okay,
Stacey, you ever see a situation where the audio board operator runs the show?
You know what? Listen. You know what? Listen, I feel like I'm being held hostage by our little Russian friend. You know, we bring our little Russian friend on here. You know, he's DJ Pavel. We give him a name. Yeah. We let him spin the records. We let him do all these things, and now we're being held hostage. He tells me today, I'm like, hey man, the guest coming on such time. We must be done at 5 o'clock. And I'm like, wait a minute, who is this? You grown up. Look, I said, let me look at the banner. Is this the DJ Pavel Hot Sauce Show? Like, who the hell are you? But then he just got up and walked out. Yeah. He just got out and walked out, America. We were held hostage. I was like, damn, who's going to do the board? But we got a little secret. We got Timmy Whisper's niece in the background. Right. Yes. She
very proficient on that audio
She can run the board, too. So we are not held hostage.
Tick-tock,
yeah.
Pavel.
Go ahead and blow us out, Pavel. You bully?
Yes. He is skating on thin ice.
Yes, he is. His wife's going to beat his ass when he get on.
Hey, want to thank our guest, Steve Smith. Want to thank everybody watching on YouTube and listening on all your favorite podcast carriers. A brand new show coming up next week. Give me the hot sauce. Thank you very much. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe.
Yes. Drive home safely, Chicago. BB.